let's imagine that we have a fully fleshed out employee handbook, and on the front page is an index. What's on that index? And maybe in the order of, hey guys, we can do these one a month, one a quarter, some reasonable amount to make progress to build towards a fully functioning HR handbook. But I don't want to freak you out because I know you're already working 60 hours and we're not going to go try to write it this weekend. So what would that index look like and what priorities? Is that kind of what you're thinking too, Khalil?
Sure.
I would say, starting out with a welcome, a forward, maybe you talk just a little bit about the company, the history, the owners, and your commitments. Maybe you have a vision and mission, maybe you don't, but just a little bit about the company there. And then, talking about the work environment. Maybe you have a section on, or you definitely should anyway, just equal employment opportunity, workplace harassment, Americans with Disabilities statement. Talks about conflict of interest, and maybe you're smaller, maybe you don't want to put that in there, but I certainly recommend it. Maybe you talk about outside employment because some people have another job and then that comes into conflict, right? Confidential nature of work. That is very, very important because you don't want some of your company secrets or anything that even an outside contractor, having access to some of your information. You want to make sure you have a very airtight confidential nature of work policy. You want to have an employment section, at will employment. You're going to talk about that. Maybe you run background checks, but you want to have a section on that. If you're keeping personnel records, that would be under that as well. Talking about employment categories, so the expectation between full-time and part-time employees, or anything along those lines. Are you expecting people to answer emails when they're off or be on call? You might encompass some of that there, which goes into working hours. So setting those expectations, or maybe there are no working hours, you want to specify. Recording hours worked, how does that work? Overtime, you want to put in there just somewhere, hey, this is the overtime we pay in accordance with FLSA, et cetera. We talked about this: break periods, rest periods, lunch breaks. If someone's working on tips, there's, a section on tip reporting. Compensation, I have a section on that. So this will talk about if there are performance reviews, paychecks, when they go out, and where you can get those, right? And you may have something on direct deposit, how to set that up if you even have that. I also, of course, have something on associate benefits. I know not every one of our clients would have that, but just talking about eligibility, coverage. Are there, expenses? How does that work? Expensing things. Are there holidays, holiday pay? Is there any, personal time off? What are the call off procedures for that? Right. And a section about workers.
What is call off? What's call off procedures?
So, for example, you might want to set parameters around if you're going to be late for work, or if you're not going to show up to work today, you need to call this manager within 2 hours before your shift, or it's a write-up, or it's not excused. Or
you're not calling somebody off. You're calling if you're going to be off.
My apologies. Okay. Yes, so that's
no, that's not you. Call off the dogs.
Protocol to miss work. No, that's a good point. I certainly could have elaborated on that a little more. And then, just talking about workers' compensation, the procedure there. Do you have a form to fill out, or what vendor do you need to call if there's a thing, and when do they need to report it? As soon as it happens, hopefully. You want to talk about Social Security and FICA, and that comes out of your paycheck, or maybe it doesn't, right? And, so there's some of that. And then just on the job stuff. So I have several different policies that I put into this, customer and vendor relations, rules of conduct, attendance, or, policies, appearance, if that's applicable, internet and email and social media use. That's a hot topic, obviously, these days.
Oh, yeah.
Use of personal equipment, kind of like we were talking about earlier, right? Or if you're using company equipment, what does that look like? Let's see. There's a smoking section, department meeting expectations sections. see, expectations of privacy. Do you reserve the right to search their locker or their car if there's suspicion about something? And then I have a termination of employment section, which talks about resignations. What is the protocol to go about that? Dismissals and what that may look like. Post resignation termination procedures. And some of these things are going to mention, is your PTO paid out upon your departure? Or, for example, in California, there are guidelines around if you're leaving the company, this is how fast you're going to get your paycheck and when and where, right? You're also, of course, going to talk about COBRA and when that will be sent out to you, how that's sent out to you, and who to contact if you don't receive that. And I have a pretty lengthy drug and alcohol safety policy. That's the last section on this particular one. So those are the items that I would be going over.
Lots of things that no one's thinking about when they hire someone for the first time or their fifth employee. They're just like, yeah, man, here's the job site, show up, let's get going.
We didn't even get to job descriptions yet.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
No, I think you made the point exactly that that's a whole lot of stuff we don't know about. I don't know if you do that off of a checklist, but anyway, you have those items and you can chunk them out and begin to build them and put them together over time. It's not as good as having it all on day one, but you can also actually maybe get it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.